All right, let's go. Number 10. The Meerkat Machine Gun Burst. FRB 20,240,619D. The Hyperactive Ghost. In standard cosmology, fast radio bursts, FRBs, are the final screams of dying stars. We used to think these were cataclysmic, one-off events, the result of a massive celestial body collapsing into a black hole. For decades, this interpretation was comforting. It suggested that space was a quiet graveyard where high-energy events were rare and predictable. But in June 2024, researchers using the Meerkat telescope in South Africa captured something that shattered that predictability. They detected FRB 20,240,619D. While standard FRBs might fire once or twice, this specific signal was a machine gun. The team recorded 249 powerful bursts in a span of just minutes. Initial reaction was pure technical confusion. According to the principle of radio transient energy, a signal this active requires a sustained, massive power source. Each burst releases much energy as our sun produces in an entire year, compressed into a fraction of a second. To do this 249 times in minutes violates our understanding of neutron star stability. There is no known mechanism that allows an object to cycle its magnetic field that quickly, without tearing itself apart. Imagine you are in a dark forest. Suddenly, a strobe light begins firing from behind a tree, 200 times a minute. You run to the tree, but there is no lamp. There is no power source. There is just the light, pulsing with a rhythmic mechanical intelligence. It is like finding a heart beating 1,000 times a second in a body that has no lungs. But it gets worse. The source is billions of light years away. If you were near it, the radio flux would vibrate your electrons so violently that your DNA would simply dissolve. You wouldn't feel heat. You would feel your physical reality unzipping. These bursts are the universe's way of tapping on the glass. We are listeners in a stadium, convinced the game is over, while the architecture itself is starting to scream. Number 9. The Xenon 1T XS. The Gran Sasso Whisper. The search for dark matter is the hunt for the missing 85% of the universe. According to the WIMP model, these particles should occasionally bump into normal matter. For decades, physicists have built silent detectors deep underground, waiting for a single, predictable ping of light. Silence is the expected result. But in June 2020, at Italy's Gran Sasso laboratory, the Xenon 1T experiment broke that silence. The detector, filled with 3.2 tons of liquefied xenon, was supposed to see 232 background events. Instead, researchers found a surprising excess of 53 events. These weren't heavy pings. They were low-energy recoils that shouldn't have been there. This excess violates the principle of background suppression. The energy spectrum matched the signature of solar axions, hypothetical particles. However, if these were axions, the sun would be losing energy much faster than stellar models allow. The math of the sun's lifespan would have to be recalculated from scratch. Imagine you are in a sensory deprivation tank, a mile underground. Then, you hear a whisper. Not a random noise, but a distinct, low-frequency hum, like a human voice just out of reach. The room is sealed. There is no air for sound. Yet, the hum continues. It is like hearing a ghost in a vacuum. The horror deepens when you consider the alternative. Neutrinos interacting more violently than the standard model allows. This would mean white dwarf stars are cooling through a leak we didn't account for. Our map of the universe is missing a drain. If you were inside that tank, you would see nothing. But you would be bombarded by a wind of particles that we can't see or stop. You are standing in a storm of invisible needles, and you only just notice the first few pricks on your skin. Number 8. The B. Mason Anomaly. The lepton betrayal. In physics, lepton universality states that fundamental forces treat all leptons, electrons and muons, exactly the same. It's a pillar of the standard model that makes the subatomic world feel symmetrical. But in 2021, the LHCb experiment at CERN revealed a betrayal of that rule. They measured the decay of beauty quarks into kaons and leptons. According to the math, the ratio of electrons to muons should be exactly 1. The LHCb team found a value of 0.846. The statistical significance reached 3.1 sigma, a signal that the universe was playing favorites. This shouldn't happen. If the known bosons were the only mediators, the ratio must be unity. The fact that muons appeared less often suggests an unknown particle, perhaps a leptoquark, is interfering. This breaks the fundamental symmetry of the weak nuclear force. Imagine a deck of cards. You're told for every red card you deal, a black card follows. Then, one afternoon, you deal 10,000 cards and realize you're getting 15% fewer spades. The deck is full. The dealer is a machine. But the spades are just disappearing. It is as if the laws of probability have decided to stop working for one specific suit. But it gets worse. While 2023 updates suggested some ratios might be closer to unity, new discrepancies appeared in how the particles fly out, the P5 prime anomaly. It's as if the universe corrected its accounting error, but left the furniture in the wrong place. The shards of reality are falling wrong, as if pushed by an invisible wind that only affects certain colors. These anomalies are a hairline crack in the foundation. We are like sailors who think the world is flat because our harbor is calm, unaware that the ocean beyond the horizon has no floor. Number 7. The W boson mass anomaly. Number 7. The W boson. The W boson is the messenger of the weak nuclear force, responsible for the fusion that powers the sun. Its mass is precisely predicted by other measurements, like a gear in a clock. If you know the size of the other gears, the W boson must be a specific diameter. But in April 2022, the CDF2 experiment at Fermilab released a measurement that terrified physicists. They calculated the W boson mass to be $80,433 text MeV C $2. The standard model prediction is $80,359 text MeV C $2. It represents a 7 sigma deviation. In physics, 5 sigma is a discovery, 7 sigma is a catastrophe. According to electroweak symmetry, the W boson cannot be that heavy without something else pulling on it. This means the standard model is fundamentally wrong about how the weak force couples with the Higgs field. The math simply doesn't add up. Imagine you weigh a gold bar that weighs exactly 1,000 grams. You weigh it 1,000,000 times, and every single time, the scale reads 1,001 grams. You calibrate the scale. You move it to a vacuum. Still 1,001 grams. You realize the bar hasn't changed, but the very definition of a gram has shifted under your feet. The horror deepens because other experiments, like Atlas at CERN, found values closer to the prediction. This has created a mass war. Either the world's most precise experiment has an invisible flaw, or the universe has different weights depending on which collider you use. The W boson is a loose thread on a sweater. If you pull it, the entire fabric of reality begins to unravel. We are cartographers who mapped a mountain, only to find the mountain is 5 miles tall when it should only be 4. Number 6. The sterile neutrino shadow. The missing flavor. Physics tells us there are 3 flavors of neutrinos: electron, muon, and tau. They are so elusive they can pass through a light year of lead. But for 30 years, a ghost has haunted the math. Experiments like LSND saw an excess of electron neutrinos that shouldn't exist unless there is a 4th, sterile flavor. In late 2021, the Microbooni experiment at Fermilab tried to find this ghost using a massive tank of liquid argon. The result was a double-edged sword. They ruled out the simplest version of the sterile neutrino, but the original excess didn't go away. If it's not a sterile neutrino, then what is it? Imagine you hear footsteps in your attic. You've told yourself it's a ghost for years. Finally, you go up with a thermal camera. There is no ghost, no intruder. You go back downstairs, and the footsteps start again, louder than before. It is as if the sound is coming from the air itself. Newer data from the BEST experiment in 2022 confirmed a 20% deficit in neutrino rates. The anomaly is getting stronger even as our explanations are being ruled out. There is a gap in reality where particles are appearing, and we have no framework to explain why. We are watching particles vanish into a dimension we haven't discovered. This is a haunting without a ghost. It proves we have reached the limit of our standard explanations. We are detectives who have ruled out every suspect, yet the victim is still being attacked in broad daylight. Number 5. The galactic plane neutrinos. Ice cube, the ghost image of the Milky Way. For as long as humans have looked at the sky, the Milky Way has been a ribbon of light, stars, and gas. We assumed that if we could see the skeleton of the galaxy in other ways, it would match the light we know. But in June 2023, the Ice Cube Observatory in the Antarctic ice released the first neutrino image of our galaxy. They saw the galaxy not as stars, but as a diffuse glow of high-energy ghost particles. The neutrinos aren't coming from the stars themselves. They are produced when cosmic rays hit the gas in the empty spaces. The map shows a haze that doesn't align with known high-energy sources. Imagine you've lived in a house for 80 years. Then, you put on heat glasses. The lamps you thought were bright are cold, but the solid, empty walls are glowing with a white-hot intensity that should be melting the foundation. You realize the house is being heated by something buried in the insulation. The horror deepens when you consider the scale. These are TeV neutrinos, trillions of times more energetic than visible light. If our eyes could see them, the night sky wouldn't be black. It would be a blinding, flickering fog of high-energy ghosts passing through your skull. Galaxy is not a quiet place. It is a violent, high-energy storm. IceCube's map is the universe's X-ray, reminding us that visible reality is just a thin skin over a terrifying body. We are blind men who have finally felt the heat of the fire, only to realize we've been sitting in it the whole time. Number 4. The muon G2 wobble. Muon G -2. The quantum tapping. The muon is the fat cousin of the electron. Because it has spin, it acts like a tiny magnet. According to quantum electrodynamics, if you put a muon in a magnetic field, it will wobble. The rate of this wobble, the G factor, is predicted with part per billion precision. It is one of the most successful predictions in history. But in August 2023, Fermilab confirmed that the muon is wobbling wrong. They sent muons spinning around a superconducting magnet and found they precess faster than the math allows. The discrepancy has a significance of over 5 sigma. Something in the vacuum is tapping on the muon. Empty space is filled with virtual particles that pop in and out of existence. These particles interact with the muon. The violation is that known particles don't account for the extra push. The math says there is a ghost particle in the vacuum that isn't in our books. Space is thicker than our equations handle. Imagine a spinning top on a smooth table. You've calculated its wobble perfectly. But as you watch, you see the top twitch, a rhythmic tap, as if an invisible finger is flicking it. There is no wind, no vibrations. But the tap continues. You realize there is something in the room with you that you can't see. While some theoretical methods suggest the anomaly might be a calculation error, the experimental result remains a 5 sigma defiance of the standard model. Either we have discovered a new force, or our most fundamental way of calculating the strength of the vacuum is wrong. The G2 anomaly is the sound of the universe's gears grinding. It proves that even the vacuum has a hidden agenda. We are like people who think we are alone in a house, only to realize the shadows are moving when we aren't looking. Number 3. The X-17 fifth force particle. For a century, we've lived with 4 fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces. There is no room for a fifth. We have mapped the atom so thoroughly that any new force carrier should have been found decades ago. Yet, a glitch remains. In 2016, and again in 2022, a team at the Atomiki Institute in Hungary found a surplus of electron-positron pairs flying out of decaying beryllium-8 nuclei at a specific angle. To produce that bump, you need a new particle with a mass of 17 MeV, the X-17 particle. This particle is protophobic. It interacts with neutrons but ignores protons. This violates charge symmetry in a way that is utterly alien. Imagine a game of billiards. When the balls hit, an invisible third ball appears, pushes the others apart, and then vanishes. That third push is always there, exactly 17 millimeters from impact. In 2019, the team saw the same 17 MeV bump in helium-4. 2 different atoms, same ghost. While certain experiments have yet to confirm it, they also haven't ruled out the specific protophobic signature. The anomaly remains a localized infection in the data that refuses to die. If you were a beryllium atom, you would be a witness to a law of nature that only exists for a billionth of a second. The X-17 particle is the forbidden gear. It proves the 4 forces might just be the ones we've noticed so far. We are like people who think music only has 4 notes because we've never heard a piano with a 5th key. Number 2. The Anita upward signals. Anita, the Antarctic inversion. Antarctica is a massive lens for neutrinos. The Anita experiment, a balloon flying 35,000 meters above the ice, is designed to catch radio pulses from neutrinos striking the ice from the sky. But in 2018 and 2020, Anita detected something impossible: pulses coming from inside the Earth. At these high energy levels, the Earth is not transparent. A neutrino would hit an atom in the crust long before reaching the other side. Nothing we know can travel through 6,000 kilometers of rock at that energy. Yet, the signals came straight up out of the ground. To explain this, you either admit neutrinos are ghostlier than we thought, or you invent a new particle, a symmetric partner. The signals didn't come from a specific spot in space. They just emerged from the Earth. It's like seeing a bird fly through a solid brick wall. For that bird, the wall doesn't exist. Some theorists suggest these events are evidence of a mirror universe made of antimatter moving backward in time. The signal is a temporal echo from a reality where we don't exist. If you were standing on the ice when it emerged, you would be at the exit of a tunnel spanning the planet. The solid ground is just a suggestion that a sufficiently motivated particle can ignore. Anita's signals are do not enter signs being ignored. We are like ants crawling on a window pane, unaware that things are flying through the glass. Number 1. The Amaterasu, the void signal. Cosmic rays have a speed limit called the GZK limit. No particle from a distant galaxy should arrive with more than 60 eeV of energy because it would hit the Big Bang's afterglow and slow down. But on May 27, 2021, the telescope array in Utah detected a particle that reignited the terror. The Amaterasu particle hit with 244 eeV, millions of times more energy than the Large Hadron Collider can produce. It carried the kinetic energy of a brick dropped on your toe. First, it should have been slowed down. Second, when traced back, it came from the local void, a region of space where nothing exists. Imagine you are in a desert, alone for 50 miles. Suddenly, someone punches you in the back of the head. You spin around, but there is only sand. No footprints, no hiding places. You weren't hit by a person, you were hit by the desert itself. The particle didn't swerve on its way here, it traveled in a straight line from the void. If there are no stars there, what accelerated a proton to the energy of a falling brick? It suggests topological defects, cracks in reality left over from the Big Bang. We are seeing the exhaust of an engine that shouldn't exist. The Amaterasu particle is a message from the nothingness. It proves the voids of space are hideouts for phenomena that dwarf the power of stars. We are like children who think the basement is empty because the lights are off, unaware that something in the corner is winding up to hit us. Our laboratories are now the front lines of an encounter with a reality that refuses to follow our rules. These signals are the ghost code of a universe more indifferent than we imagined. We name these particles Amaterasu X17 to give ourselves the illusion of control. But a name is just a label on a door we are afraid to open. The universe is not a puzzle to be solved. It is a storm to be survived. We have mapped the surface of the ocean, only to realize the water itself is starting to change. If you want to keep staring into the void until it stares back, hit that subscribe button. Okay, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do.